So CM Punk's time in AEW has been the subject of a lot of hot conversations over the last couple weeks, mainly because Punk did an interview with Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour, and it started a lot of, controversy because he addressed his time in AEW and, certain things that led up to his firing, and more specifically, the issue with Jack Perry behind the scenes at All In Wembley last year in August. Mind you, this fucking shit happened in August. Man, cannot believe we're still talking about this. It's April of 2024. Man, almost a year ago. But Punk talked about it, and his comments, I'm just going to kind of paraphrase because I don't want to read everything that he said. But basically, Tony Schiavone came up to him and was not happy about how Jack Perry was acting. Punk confronted him and was like, look, man, this isn't your locker room. You don't got to do this glass spot when you go out there, just basically trying to check him, right? Jack Perry goes out there, does his glass spot, and then goes on the camera and says, it's real glass, cry me a river, right? So Punk said that he confronted him about it backstage. Jack Perry basically said, okay, so what are you going to do about it? And Punk said, dude, I would kill you. I'd beat the shit out of you. And Punk, by his own admission, literally stated, hey, I put my hands on him. I didn't punch him, but I just kind of put him in a chokehold. That's what Punk said by his own admission. And then he said that he turned to Tony Khan and said he quit and that this place is a joke. And mind you, this all happened before CM Punk's match with Samoa Joe at All In. So Joe had to go and talk to Punk and basically convince him like, hey, come on, let's do this, okay? Because the whole story with Punk and Joe, that Punk had never beaten Samoa Joe, and, they had some pretty good back and forths on TV and verbal jabs. That was cool. It would have been sad to see us get robbed of that match. So Punk and Joe went out there. They had an excellent match, by the way. I think we all know. And that was that. Punk got fired by Tony Khan's admission because he said it was with cause. Punk had some other comments that caught storm as well, like him saying Tony Khan's a good guy, but he just doesn't think he's the right guy to be running that business. He also said that AEW, he doesn't consider them a real business, right? And I don't think that's fair to say. I'm not an AEW consistent watcher. I'm a casual. I'll tune in here and there when I see certain stories that catch my attention, like the MJF CM Punk feud. I watched a lot of CM Punk stuff on AEW. That's really what brought me into the brand itself to a large degree. I watched things they did with the Elite. When Cody was there, I kind of tuned in here and there, but what really got me into it was CM Punk. Right? I liked the Samoa Joe, MJF stuff as well. Adam Cole being revealed as there's a lot of stuff about AEW I liked and don't like. Bottom line is, though, for Punk to say that, I think is disingenuous. If you don't consider them a real business, why were you there? Okay, you joined AEW. You can't say it's not a real business when they're out here signing talent. They're on television. They're trying to make a profit. They've been on for 5 years, and they've been one of the most successful wrestling companies in the world on a national level. You can't say it's not a legitimate business. You just can't. And I think the reason he said that, though, is because the EVPs didn't want to work with him. And by EVPs, you already know I'm talking about the Elite. They didn't want to work with CM Punk. And to be fair, to Punk's credit, he wanted to work with them. He wanted to reach out to them. He wanted to at least have a conversation with them, and they didn't even sit down for one. And I thought that was wrong. You can't sit there and bring this guy back if you're Tony Khan and not get them to all talk in a room. Even if those guys didn't want to work with him. As EVPs, it is their responsibility to at least talk to him. It's fine to get a lawyer present. I don't care. But you gotta have the conversation with him. That's my biggest issue with the Elite. There's other stuff that they could have handled better, of course, and could have done better. The workers' right promo, all that stuff. But my point is, you got to talk to him. You got to talk to him at least. And Tony Khan, the fact that he's allowed all this shit to really go down, and because he was in the middle of all this, he has the final say. He could have fired CM Punk after Brawl Out and avoided a lot of mess. But he kept him. He kept him. And they didn't even pay for this guy's rehab. Punk talked about that as well. They did not pay for his rehab. You would have thought Punk got fired, but no, the guy was just suspended. You can't suspend a guy when he has such a major injury like a torn tricep and you're not even going to pay for this guy's rehab. He's the biggest star in your company. So a lot of malpractice things done in AEW, a lot of things that could have been done better, should have been done better, but Punk has to take responsibility as well. Punk, by his own admission, has assaulted a coworker. And we now have the proof of it, which I'll get to in a second. But by his own admission, he assaulted another coworker. And this is not the first time. We know about the Brawl Out incident, how Punk swung first. So, that's that. That was basically the crux of CM Punk being on Ariel Helwani's show. Now we fast forward to AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, because over the weekend they promoted, and I kid you not, I don't know if it was just Tony Khan being angry about what Punk said in the interview, or, Tony Khan, I don't know, he got jealous of WrestleMania weekend, which Punk was barely involved. I know he had the segment with Drew McIntyre, but he didn't wrestle, So I don't know what it was about, but Tony Khan, he signed off on the Young Bucks doing a segment where they released the footage of CM Punk and Jack Perry at All In. Now, I am an AEW casual. I don't know what the story is. I didn't even watch Dynamite last week. I saw the clips. Whatever the story is, I do not care. I don't care. Because to put this footage out is the definition of desperation. Pathetic desperation. They are so sad and desperate for ratings that they're using a guy that has been out of the company for almost a year, that is in WWE. He's in a different promotion, and you used his name to pop a rating. Are you serious? That is embarrassing. That is fucking embarrassing. And I don't even think they realize how much of idiots they look like. Because when that video dropped, did they expect fans to be mad at CM Punk or angry? Because the reaction was quite the opposite. Everyone was making fun of him. And then to make matters worse, talk about being a pussy, Tony Khan and AEW, they're going around and copywriting all of the people reposting the footage of CM Punk and Jack Perry at All In. What a bunch of cowards. What a bunch of fucking cowards. It didn't just make the company look like pussies and desperate losers trying to pop a rating, which I'm sure they popped a solid rating with it, but it didn't just make them look like cowards, but it made Tony Khan look like a bum. Because Tony Khan, he said, and I quote, "I feared for my life. I've never feared for my life like the way I did in that moment." I would have thought in the video, CM Punk grabbed Tony Khan, maybe punched him, threw him on the floor. Nothing. All we did was it looked like he just kind of pointed at Tony Khan, because Tony Khan was hidden from the camera. We couldn't really see Tony Khan. He was in a corner somewhere. It looked like Punk just, pointed at him. And maybe Tony Khan flinched crazy. He was scared. He was scared Punk was going to grab him and give him a fucking powerbomb on the concrete. Who knows? But in the video, it didn't disprove anything that CM Punk said. Did they want CM Punk to come across as a liar? Because it didn't look like it. Everything Punk said happened in the video, damn near word for word, bar for bar, move for move, action for action. So I don't know why they released this video. If you're going to release this video, You could have just posted it on your Twitter or something. To do it on your actual television program, that is a disgrace. It still boggles my mind. Who thought this was a good idea? Honestly, who thought that? Man, it makes me mad because AEW right now, they're in a weird place. You know, Tony Khan is trying to really secure this new TV rights deal. On top of that, they're signing all this, top free agents, Okada, Will Ospreay, and now they got Mercedes Moné. And it doesn't look like the ratings are moving much. They're still having great, and I mean great matches. I'm not watching consistently, but they are. Christian had a great run with that title, the TNT title. Now Edge has that title. I saw Matt Cardona made an appearance for one of the open challenges. MJF, I don't know what's going on with him, but when they get him back, it'll only help ratings. It'll only help the product. Samoa Joe had a nice run. I think Swerve Strickland, it's time to put that title on him soon. They're doing good things in the ring. But as far as the stories go, kind of mediocre, kind of bland. You got guys like Jay White feuding with Billy Gunn in 2024. Who would have thought that the Jay White signing would have been a bust? And this guy had the chance to go to WWE. That's what's crazy. He had the chance to go to WWE. And I don't blame him because at that time, it looked like Vince was, assuming control again. But it looks like now in hindsight, that was a mistake for him to stay. Or at least not go to WWE and go to AEW. It was a mistake. Look, AEW right now needs to focus on their own product and not pay so much attention to everything that WWE does. It doesn't mean you can't take from what works in WWE and try to make it your own. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that dedicating segments on television to basically promoting other wrestlers is only going to be a detriment to your company. It will only make Tony Khan look lame as fuck. Because mind you, when they played that segment, what was the crowd doing? Chanting for CM Punk. The Young Bucks came out. What was the crowd doing? Chanting for CM Punk. Is that what y'all want? For the crowd to chant for a wrestler that hasn't been there in almost a year, that is now working for the rival company? This is the same company that had Cody Rhodes chants because they had one of their wrestlers go out on TV and give praise to an ex-EVP, which we all know was Cody Rhodes. This is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And like I said, people are going to know more about this than me. I'm not saying I'm some AEW expert. I'm a casual when it comes to AEW television. But when it comes to the little icks that Tony Khan is out there doing, it gives me vibes of WCW and TNA. And I'm not talking about the good eras of them. I'm talking about when those companies fell apart. And I'm not saying AEW is going to go bankrupt and they're going to fall apart and they have no future. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you can't run your company and be damn near dependent on another company to pop a rating. You can't run your company by worrying about what the competition is doing every single second of the day. It's just not practical. And AEW right now, I think this was one of the most disgraceful weeks in the history of that company. You got Will Ospreay also later on the show cutting a promo about Triple H in his comments. Because Triple H, he did an interview recently where he basically talked about how certain guys were running from the grind because they don't like the schedule of WWE. Certain free agents. And we all know he's probably taking shots at maybe Okada. I don't think he's taking a shot at Mercedes Moné because from what I remember, Triple H and Sasha Banks were even in contact before Sasha got to AEW. Like, I'm talking friendly contact. I'm sure they're on good terms. Sasha's even said before in an interview, which was crazy. I couldn't believe she said this, even after she appeared on AEW TV. But she said she's one day going to go back to WWE. So we know that's inevitable. I don't think Triple H wants to burn that bridge. So he's more than likely referencing Okada and Will Ospreay, but obviously that was still a general statement to whoever. If you want to make it to the big leagues, right? Because WWE has that mentality of making it to the big leagues, you got to go through the grind. That's basically what he was saying. And Will Ospreay takes it upon himself to go out there and cut this lackluster promo, because we know Will Ospreay, when it comes to promos, that's not his strong suit. Will Ospreay brings fans in, reels people into supporting him and being over the way he is by being great in that ring. That's what Will Ospreay does. He's not an MJF, okay? He's not a CM Punk or a Roman Reigns. He's Will Ospreay. He goes in the ring for great matches, and he's arguably the best in the world at that. But for him to go out there and cut a promo and then say the exact same line that everybody says about Triple H. Oh, he wouldn't be in this position if he wasn't grinding on the boss's daughter. Don't get me wrong, that can be a clever line here and there, but at the end of the day, come up with something original. Seriously, come up with something original. Sure, would Triple H be in this position if he wasn't with Stephanie? Maybe. But here's the thing. He already is married to her. And he's been married to her for decades. He was in producer meetings before he was even with Stephanie. That relationship he had with Shawn Michaels, you could argue, was more influential at that time than him dating Stephanie. Obviously, the relationship with Stephanie became a way bigger deal, but that relationship with Shawn Michaels already put him in a pretty good position. And they were pushing him from the jump. Sure, has Triple H been buried by fucking Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania? Absolutely. He's gone through his own fair share of, trials and tribulations, but they were trying to pair Triple H with so many guys on screen. Remember the pairing with Mr. Perfect? That didn't work out. And then he got over heavy with China. They tried with Triple H multiple times before he ever got with Stephanie. So I am pretty sure that Triple H would have gotten over and had a successful career with or without Stephanie. Now, all the stuff about running the company, maybe not. Probably not. Who knows, but probably not. But either way, he runs it now, and he's doing a great job. So who the fuck cares? Get a better joke. Man, I'm so serious when I say this, but if Tony Khan spent half as much time that he puts into referencing WWE on TV or on social media with disses and sneak jabs, if he put half as much as that time into making the AEW product better from a storyline perspective, maybe they wouldn't be struggling to hit 1 million viewers every week on Dynamite. That's just a thought.